So adding living benefits to a cash value life insurance policy. This is something that is very popular as far as a marketing standpoint is concerned, and it's a real concern to people. What living benefits are when attached to a life insurance policy is really having access to money for healthcare costs, in particular long-term care. If I need home health care, nursing home care, whatever it might be, a lot of times I can use my life insurance policy in one way or another to help pay for that. So this is aside from the cash value planning, which is really what we focus on. These are added benefits. Sometimes they're free, sometimes I have to qualify for them, and there's some that I can add for an extra charge. So we're going to go through the main three here. We're going to start with the free one, terminal illness. So this is a terminal illness rider that is attached to really every life insurance policy out there. And how it works is if I become diagnosed with a terminal illness, I have to prove it right to the insurance company through a doctor's note or something like that. If I'm diagnosed with a terminal illness, I have access to up to 80% of my death benefit, which is going to be a much larger number than my cash value. I have 80% access to that for whatever I want. The purpose really is to help cover healthcare costs, but I can use it for whatever I want. And again, that's if I'm diagnosed with a terminal illness, often given 24 months to live. Chronic illness, often referred to as a living benefits rider. This is very popular with universal life policies, in particular the IULs. Now, a lot of times people will say IULs are the only accounts that offer these. That's not true. Whole life companies, policies offer them as well. You just have to be approved for them. A lot of times these are riders that if we're approved, meaning we don't have any serious health complications, they're free. How they work is if I need access to, again, the death benefit, which is a larger figure than my cash value, I can access it. It's not as much as the terminal illness component, but I can access it for healthcare costs. It is a percentage of the death benefit that will increase as I grow older, so it depends on when I'm starting the policy. There's different charts, depends on the company as well, but typically I can access my death benefit if I'm diagnosed with a chronic illness. And really what that means is that I am unable to perform 2 out of these 7 daily acts of living. Right? There's definitions on that as well. A couple is if one is unable to dress themselves, bathe themselves, they need help in some areas because of an injury or illness. What this rider permits is if I have $1 million death benefit that I was approved for, I took the policy out, I can access those funds. Now, if I pull out $500,000 for healthcare costs, same thing over here, and I die, what happens is the net death benefit is paid, $500,000. I don't get to spend the money and leave the full $1 million death benefit. It's important to note that. These two riders, if I exercise them, I am pulling money from my death benefit really in advance. The company knows, okay, your beneficiary is eventually going to get this. Because you have this health issue, we're going to give you some of your death benefit anyway, in a sense of saying we know we're going to pay it out in the future sooner rather than later. Then I've got the long-term care rider I can attach to a policy. Now this is a lot like a long-term care insurance policy. Now the drawback to this, we don't use these that often with cash value planning, really because they strip the policy of a lot of its flexibility. Often, especially with the top companies, when we attach this rider, we give up the ability to contribute 10 times my base premium into cash per year. A lot of times my new limit is 4 times. The ability to adjust my contributions up and down and not have to go through underwriting is gone as well. That's a big drawback. Often when we're looking at pure cash value planning, it doesn't make sense for that reason alone. And in addition, it does carry an extra cost. So if I'm not paying the extra money out of pocket for that rider, it's got to come from somewhere. What's going to happen is it's going to pull from my cash value to satisfy the cost. How it works though, I mean, here's the advantage. Is if I attach a policy, let's say I spend another $3,000 a year for this rider, sometimes it's much less than that, and I get a benefit of $5K a month. Okay, what's that mean? So this does not impact my cash value or death benefit on my current policy. What that $5K per month gets me is if I'm diagnosed with an illness where I need health care, nursing home, home health care, classified as long-term care costs, the policy will pay me $5,000 a month to help cover those costs. This is a benefit that I can set up when I start the policy. I can set it at $2K a month, $8K a month. There are limits based off how much life insurance I have. But again, when we use these policies or these riders attached to a life insurance policy, this works well if one's goal is life insurance planning. It can work with cash value planning, but typically it doesn't, really because it strips the policy of that flexibility. And I need that flexibility to be able to contribute 10 times my base premium into cash to get the break even I want and high cash up front. So it's good to be aware of these riders. We'll always add the terminal illness, that's automatically included. We'll add this if the company offers it and one qualifies for it. The other one's often a discussion point, and often what one does if they really want long-term care is look at a long-term care policy outside, something separate from the life insurance policy, which often has stronger benefits and is a bit more cost efficient as well.